The story begins in a quiet little cottage where an old woman and her husband lived. The cottage was small, but always filled with warmth. The woman loved baking, and on this chilly morning, she decided to make something special. She mixed flour, sugar, and spices with care, adding ginger that filled the air with a rich, sweet smell. She shaped the dough into a little man, with eyes made of raisins and buttons of shiny candy. Once baked, the gingerbread man looked so perfect, almost alive. When the oven door opened, something magical happened. The gingerbread man blinked, stretched his arms, and sprang right out of the tray. He didn't want to be eaten. Instead, he dashed toward the door, his candy buttons sparkling as he ran. The old woman tried to catch him, but he was far too quick. Out the door he went, and his little legs carried him down the path faster and faster. Down the road he ran, passing gardens, fences, and animals. A cow grazing in a field lifted her head and saw the tasty little man. The cow began to chase, her hooves thumping the ground. But no matter how hard she tried, the gingerbread man was always ahead. His small body was built for speed, and he laughed as the cow's chase grew hopeless. Soon, other animals joined, chickens, pigs, and even a horse, all running after him. Soon the gingerbread man reached a playground where children were playing. Their eyes widened at the sight of him, such a delicious little man made of cookies. They shouted in excitement and ran after him. Their small feet pounded the ground, but the gingerbread man was too clever and too quick. He darted through their legs, skipped past their hands, and raced onward down the winding road. Leaving the village behind, the gingerbread man darted into a thick forest. Tall trees cast long shadows on the ground. Birds fluttered above, watching curiously. A deer grazing nearby lifted her head and decided to follow. The gingerbread man, with his sweet smell and shining candy buttons, attracted every creature that saw him. Now the chase included animals from the forest, too. Still, he ran as fast as he could, his tiny legs never slowing. After racing through the forest, he reached a wide meadow filled with wildflowers. Butterflies danced in the air, and bees buzzed from flower to flower. The gingerbread man ran through the grass, leaving a trail of sweet scent behind him. The animals chasing him were growing tired, but he never stopped. His candy buttons gleamed in the sunlight, and his little gingerbread smile seemed unstoppable. Finally, the gingerbread man came to the edge of a wide river. The water sparkled under the afternoon sun, flowing gently but too deep for him to cross. He stopped for the first time, staring at the water, wondering how he would get across. Behind him, the sound of hooves and footsteps grew louder as all the animals and children caught up. He was trapped, or so it seemed. Just then, a sly fox appeared from behind a bush. He looked calm, clever, and confident. The fox offered to help the gingerbread man cross the river safely. The gingerbread man hesitated but saw no other choice. Behind him were hungry mouths, and in front of him was deep water. He stepped onto the fox's back, and the fox began to swim across the river. The fox swam smoothly, but as the water grew deeper, he told the gingerbread man to climb higher, first onto his back, then onto his shoulders, and finally onto his head. The gingerbread man balanced nervously, looking back at the crowd still waiting on the shore. He thought he had outsmarted everyone once again. But as they reached the middle of the river, the fox tilted his head. The gingerbread man slipped closer to the fox's mouth. Before he realized what was happening, the fox tossed him up and caught him in one quick bite. The chase was over. The gingerbread man's grand adventure had ended in the jaws of the clever fox. The riverbank grew quiet. The animals and children watched from afar, realizing the gingerbread man was gone. Some felt sad, while others thought about the lesson they had just witnessed: being too proud and overconfident can lead to trouble. The fox slipped back into the forest, licking his lips, leaving only ripples in the water behind. The old woman, who had followed the crowd all along, finally reached the river. She sighed but also smiled softly. The gingerbread man had been clever and fast, but he had not been wise. Everyone returned home, remembering the little cookie who had run so far and so fast, only to be tricked in the end. They spoke of him often, sharing the story with others as a reminder that cleverness should always be balanced with caution. And so, the story of the gingerbread man lived on. Though he was eaten, he taught everyone an important lesson: running fast is not always enough. You must also think wisely about whom you trust. The tale was told again and again, passing through generations, reminding children everywhere of the little cookie who came to life, ran with all his might, but learned too late about the slyness of the fox.